So hopefully you're all muted, correct? Okay. Well, you're okay. Okay. So I'm going to try this again. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our virtual Sunday service here at the Ukiah Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Dr. Candice Becket, and I am the gap minister here in Ukiah. I just want you all to know how happy I am that you decided to join us today. And I want you to remember, as always, that your presence is welcome, but your soul is welcome. I am so pleased that we get these times, even though it's not what we're still not quite what we're used to, where we actually do get to see each other and share. And I know that somewhere in this service today, that whether it's in the treatments and the music and the message, that you're here and that you're going to receive exactly what your heart is seeking for you to receive today. So just sit back and be ready to receive. And this morning, our opening treatment will be given by Bonnie Callan. So Bonnie, you can unmute yourself and do the treatment.
Doing it now, thank you. If everybody wants to just kind of close your eyes, take a deep breath, just kind of take that moment to center yourself. There is only one life. We all live for God. One divine mind that we all use to think with, to draw our ideas from. One unconditional love that we all share. I am only here for God, to give God's dream physicality, to co-create in divine mind and give and receive God's love. Right now, in these early stages of this new year, I lay to rest the fears and doubts so prevalent in 2020. Close what is finished, release what no longer serves me, and make room for more and for new. More good, more love, more abundance, and all the new that life has for me. I live in gratitude for this life, in gratitude, this sea of unconditional love, and in gratitude for this world of unlimited possibility. In this moment, I remember who I am. I am a conduit for the creative power that is God. I close my eyes and open my being and let God work for me, through me, as me. And I let it be so, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Bonnie. That was really lovely. So now we're going to get some special music from Mary Buckley. So Mary, take it away.
Thanks, Candice. When I woke up this morning and heard the rain, I changed my song plan. I'd like to do a song I wrote almost exactly 7 years ago when we were just starting to feel this multi-year drought. It's called Let It Rain. And like so many of my songs, it's about our relationship with the natural world. And apologies to anyone who lives in a floodplain or has a leaky roof, but we need the rain. I was gonna screen share audio only. Do you think I could try that, Candice, or would you rather I didn't try if there's a glitch?
You could try it, and just be sure that it's turned off when you're finished.
Okay. Oh, host disabled. It's disabled by host, so I don't have to do that. It's just a better audio if it comes to you from that way. So, okay, I can't screen share. I will just start it. Let it rain. Let it rain. Let it pour. Let it rain. Let it wash away the dusty dust and rain some more. Let it roll on off the mountains and make the rivers roar. Let it make the world as fresh and green as it ever was before. Let us sing a hallelujah that the heavens can't ignore. Let it rain, let it pour. Calling all angels of rain, calling all angels. Let it rain, send it down, send it down, send it down. Gather clouds, gather clouds. Fill the sky, let it rain, let it pour. Fill the sky, let it rain, let it pour. Let it rain, let it rain. Let it pour. Let it rain, let it wash away the dusty dust and rain some more. Let it roll on off the mountains and make the rivers roar. Let it make the world as fresh and green as it ever was before. Let us sing a hallelujah that the heavens can't ignore. Let it rain, let it pour.
That was wonderful, Mary. Thank you so much. So the topic for today is look into the mirror. As most of you know, my day-to-day routine has changed really dramatically, and particularly in the last week. I am spending most of my time away from Ukiah. So I'm having to learn where things are. Things like the grocery store and the pharmacy and how to get from point A to point B in an area though I have visited several times. I've never really had to know where I was going. I was usually, being driven wherever I needed to be. And so what I can tell you about kind of trying to establish myself at least temporarily in this new location, that it's not terrible, but it is odd. It is odd to try to figure out where things I normally don't give a second thought to. It's a little disorienting. And to be honest, I sometimes feel lost. And sometimes I actually am lost because I just don't know where I'm going. But it occurred to me that when things aren't what I'm used to, I need to rely on something that is never lost and never disoriented. So last week, the topic was looking up, and it was about being open and allowing that higher thought, that higher wisdom self to be the place that we go to get perspective as we move through life. And so I've been relying a lot on that this week, and found myself looking up a lot this week for all sorts of different reasons. So I know some of you have, but there's a show on right now called I think it's Netflix. It's called the Queen's Gambit. And I've just barely started watching it, but pretty much every person I know has completely binged it. Just think it's fabulous. And it is about a young girl really, who plays chess. And she's sort of extraordinary, and I'm not going to give too much away. But in this show, um, she sometimes pauses when she's in a game and sees the different possibilities for her next move. And often what that looks like on screen is she looks up. And sometimes she's looking up for quite a while. Now, we in the audience can see what she sees, which are these potential moves that she could make. And she sometimes will be looking up just for a second, and sometimes she's looking for uh, a longer period of time. And there was this one scene where she's looking up and she's watching all the potential moves. But what happens to the other people that are watching her play, pretty soon, everyone starts to look up, trying to see what it is that she sees. That scene just really spoke to me about our influence, not just in being able to look for greater potential and but how that also has an opportunity to influence others. And I remember when I was a teenager, and I remember being really silly with my friends, and this was something that we did occasionally just for the heck of it. But what we would do, we would just like all of a sudden somebody would go look up, and we'd all put our heads up a little bit, like we'd start looking up, and lo and behold, other people passing by uh, would look up to see what we were looking at. And I remember um, this one time when my group of friends, we got very philosophical about what we were doing and began to wonder at our influence on complete strangers. So sort of what we came up with, and like I said, it's still a long time ago, but I do remember having this discussion. It's like when we look up, others look up too. So if we love up, others will love up too. And if we cheer up, others will cheer up too. But it only works when the person who is the initiator, the first person to look up or the first person to love up or cheer up, is really invested in modeling this behavior. And I think that a lot of us have that opportunity in our lives of where we know we've either witnessed it or we've been it ourselves, where we've walked into a group of people and one person can totally shift the atmosphere, the emotional atmosphere, and the psychological atmosphere of a room just by their behavior because they're really invested. And yes, sometimes that can really lift us and sometimes it can pull us down. So I think part of it for me is just getting really conscious of what am I modeling? What am I doing? Am I looking up or am I looking down? And what is it that I want to be modeling in everything that I do and every activity that I choose to engage? So last week, the act of looking up, as we talked about, stops us from focusing on what's not working. And it allows us to have a change in our perspective, allows for inspiration to move in. And we all know that it's not really up there. It's within here. It's within our hearts. It's within our minds. So I just wanted to bring that back up because in today I am again very influenced by Dr. David Bruner down in San Jose, and he was talking about that the looking up sequence that we talked about, that one of the best places you could do it is looking into the mirror. And so you're just looking at yourself, but to go ahead and let your vision rise to the highest potential you. He spoke about a book that is written by a Christian minister, John Pavel, Reverend John, we'll call him. The title of the book is Hope and Other Superheroes. And Reverend John points out that in the DC Marvel comic world, where there's lots of heroes, that when someone needs help, they often look up. They're looking for Superman or Captain America or Iron Man to fly in. And even with some of the other superheroes, they get there, by bounding, like I'm thinking of the Hulk, for instance. And so there's a lot of looking up. But he points out that that looking up is kind of like prayer. And that when most of us are praying, we are looking up to the sky god. Remember, this is a Christian minister, not quite the same as us, but close. And so he says in the book, it isn't the sky that holds out hope for the planet. It's the mirror. And I just went, oh. And so he starts to talk about that it's time to stop looking up and it's time to start looking into the mirror. That there is a potential superhero looking back at you. It's time to recognize that. It's time to embrace that. And again, in almost every faith tradition on the planet, there are hints and there are ways to engage that inner superhero. And in the Christian tradition, this is a quote that most of you will recognize, one of my favorites. It's be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. For me, that's a lot of that, the renewing idea is that we have to stop repeating old beliefs, old worries. And we even have to stop trying to get others to agree with us when we're not in that place of wholeness and of great love and great honesty and great compassion. So but we don't have to create anything brand new. We have to renew. We have to begin again. We have to recognize within us is this potential for greatness and wholeness and healing. I also like the terms that it's time for me when I am in that place of confusion, disoriented, whatever, to go ahead and use fresh eyes, to look at it in a brand new way, maybe a way that I hadn't considered, but will move me from my disorientation and that feeling of lost into a place where I know that I am always in the embrace of the divine, and that I can never be lost. And I need to also let you know that in my experience right now, I'm doing a lot of that on the more metaphysical level, not just because I'm driving around in a town I don't know, but I'm also recognizing the potential in seeing higher truths for people that are close to me, people that are around me, and to stop worrying, fretting, and instead stand in that place with fresh eyes where I can see the process as God sees the process. I love the idea that the universal presence can has a bigger picture, has a bigger vision of what's going on. So in the midst of change, in the midst of things not being the way I am or you are used to, it's time to look differently. We all know that there's a lot of change. There's so much changing right now, personally, globally. In fact, I don't know a single person who isn't changing and isn't expanding in one level of consciousness or another. I also know that when we're not used to it, when it's not what we consider our normal day, that it can be frightening, it can be challenging, and it can make us angry. So a week or so ago, Dr. Bruner actually posted this statement on Facebook, and I really, it's just been with me ever since. And he said, you can't be curious when you're furious. Let me try that. You can't be curious when you are furious. I just really love that statement. Um, but it's sort of, sort of have a love-hate relationship, because sometimes in my, my anger, my ferocity, I just want to be right. I want agreement. But what I know is that as long as I'm in that place of frustration, loss, feeling fearful, and that list goes on, it's really difficult for me to be curious, for me to look at the bigger picture. Dr. David pointed out that the opposite of fear isn't courage, it's curiosity. So here's a question that I've been asking myself a lot over the last couple of weeks, actually the last month. And so I'm going to share it with you in hopes that just as you go through your days, you might remember this too when you start to feel that little edginess of this isn't working. And ask yourself this: where is spirit in this? In this moment, in this situation, in this person, let me see spirit. In back to the book Hope and Other Superheroes, there are two questions that go along with this, where is spirit in this, that we can be asking ourselves, that will help us to move through these times of great change. The first question is, what kind of person does the world need right now? What kind of person does the world need right now? So you can do that on the bigger global, what needs to happen right now, or you can do it just in when you see something happening in line at the grocery store. What kind of person does this situation need right now? So when you answer that question, it's basically the world needs fill in the blank. So perhaps most of you actually already came up with the world needs fill in the blank. So for you, whatever that statement looks like, however you filled in the blank, that is your new job description. That is the person that you need to be. That is the person that you need to show up in the world as and move as that higher wisdom self, because that's what's revealed in questions like this. Who am I? Who do I need to be? But I like it that he puts it in the what kind of person does the world need, because sometimes when we take ourselves, our personality, our situation out just for a second, we can get that bigger picture. But then to know that it's a call to us, it's a call to action for us. That's an amazing place to stand. So I know you're all burning to know what the second question is. And so the second question is, who do you think you really are? Who do you think you really are? Again, let your answer come from your highest self. We have to stop playing the forgetfulness game. Most of us who've been in science of mind and religious science for any length of time know that at our core, what we believe to be is whole, perfect, divine, one with the one, which is God. And so to pretend that we're anything less than that, even though we're so creative and we're so powerful, that will show up in our lives. We need to stop doing that. We have pretended, I have pretended, I'll just do that. I have pretended for a long time that I can be hurt, that I can be a victim. There have been times in my life where I have felt that God has abandoned me. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't ever have hurt, frightened experiences. You're going to have them. But to then remember our deepest, honest truths. And it's time to deeply ask, who am I really? In other words, it's time to up our game. It's time to only do things from that highest place. And when we don't, to the second we are aware that we're not being our highest self, to make that conscious decision and change. And that's when you see miracles happen. That's when suddenly everything changes. That's when the answers appear, because you are a conduit for the divine, and coming through you at any moment, any time, any place is perfect love, perfect wisdom. And that's where we want to be. That's where we want to stand. So I'm going to share with you a story. And this is also a story that is in the Hope and Other Superheroes book. And it's called Defeat versus Destiny. So the suffering we see in our world right now, the divisiveness, the lack of social justice, the personal struggles, that all is there and has a potential to do one of two things: to defeat us. And our defeat is like this, oh, I can't do anything, it's very final, it's a very abrupt. Or we can say, this right here, right now, is part of my destiny. And that allows us to be clear, to ask for greater clarity, for clarification. So let's go with that. Let's go with, I want to be in this place of clarification. And this applies to any kind of relationship, problematic, troublesome situations. And it will either be for us, this is where I gave up, or this is where I was transformed. This is where my healing began. So either way, these moments define us. And it's time to remember who we are and to approach it from this higher place. So now the story. This is a Sufi parable, and it's called the Sun and the Cave. So one day, the sun and the cave decided to have a conversation. During the chat, the sun was having a difficult time understanding what the cave meant by dark, closed, and dank. And the cave was confused by the sun's notion of light, open, and clear. So they decided to change places and share perspectives. The cave went up into the sky and took the sun's view and remarked, "Oh, I see, this is remarkable and vast, truly marvelous." And after a while, the cave invited the sun to visit his world, and encouraged the sun by saying, "Now come down and see where I have been living." And the sun went down to the cave. And after a while, he looked and said, "Gee, I don't see any difference." That's the end of the story. The moral of the story is the sun can never be other than its true self, its true nature. So it cannot see the dark. It always takes itself, its light, wherever it goes. So I think this is also the indication to us to remember who we are. And even when we enter into the dark and the dank, that what we bring is light and love It's a great Hafiz phrase that it spoke to me after I read this story during the week. And the quote is this: I wish I could show you, when you are lonely and in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being. Thank you, Hafiz. So take a deep breath. We're going to move into our treatment. And so just know with me right now that there is only one light, and that light is God. There is only this one power, and that power is God. There is only one. We, you and I, and all others, known and unknown, seen and unseen, we are all one. We are one together. We are one within it. We are one. One with the power, one with the presence, one with the wisdom of the divine. It is in this essence that we live and breathe and have our being. It breathes us. It creates with us every moment of every day. There is nowhere and no time where this presence isn't available, isn't right now in action. As I was growing up, there was a phrase, there is not a spot where God is not. Today, let us choose to remember that. And so as I speak this word today, I know that each of us is right here, right now, choosing that this moment and each moment, we are the astonishing light. We embrace and put forward these principles that are near and dear to us, that we just embrace this so much, and we create good and more good in our lives and in the lives of those around us, in fact, for the entire planet. So I affirm our oneness with the divine presence and with all beings everywhere. I know that each one of us is allowing our light to shine in the darkness as we radiate that pure love, which is us, which it creates us, which supports us, which transports us to that higher state of consciousness. And we begin right now, recognizing that it is the one in the mirror that we've been waiting for. This is the one to bring love, to bring light, to bring clarity. So I am grateful for the whole and holy presence, which supports and sustains us. I am grateful we have the ability and the wisdom to support and uplift one another. And as I release this word into the law, I accept it for everyone here, in fact, from all beings everywhere, knowing all beings, known and unknown, seen and unseen, great and small, these truths. All beings are happy. All beings are peaceful. All beings are free. Or all beings are God. And I let this be so. And so it is. So another deep breath. And we move into our time of sharing. And I remind you that there are a couple of ways to give. One is to write a check and send it to the church. The other one is you can go to the center's website, which is cslucaya.org. And on that page, there is a PayPal button, and you can do that. You can also contribute that way. But what I love about this time is I feel like that this is a point when we enter into our sharing, into the time of our collection, that we also understand that the reason that we're here and the reason that we're supporting this center is because we share values, and we are visualizing together this amazing center here in Mendocino County. And we're remembering why we're here and the importance of that. So I'm gonna, there it is. Gonna try to share. Oh, yeah, that's the one you want. So please join with me in saying our offering affirmation together. And it goes like this. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies this gift. With all my heart and with all my mind, I know I am saying yes to something I value. With all others present here, we dedicate these gifts to the values and visions we share. So, okay, we have just a couple of announcements. And the main one, I just looked at, I was like, oh, these are last week's announcements. I think the main thing that we are still involved in is we are collecting things for the homeless shelter. And Teresa, I'm pretty sure on the call, do you want to speak to that for a minute?
Yes, I think sometimes people are a little afraid to go to the homeless center, that they may get sick or something, or but when I have taken things directly there, I just go to the gate and I call them, and they open up and they just take things. I drive up to the location, it's straight ahead, and they take things from the car. Last time I took fruit and paper towels. But I would say probably if you're going to do fruit, probably oranges or bananas. And they can always, they always accept like size medium gloves, protective gloves, and some sort of an antiseptic or, wipes. And of course, toilet paper and paper towels. And they're still they still have people staying there, and they can still use stuff. And I'm available. You can come and leave it. Call me, and then I'll come outside and get it. If you want to take it to my house, that's fine. I go there semi-regularly. So yeah. Actually, nobody's brought anything, so I'm thinking they either did it themselves or maybe have gone to Trudy's. But I think, Candice, you put all that information on your email. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. So yeah, so there are, even with that, there's a couple of ways you can leave it with Teresa. You can take it to Judy Morgan's. There's an address in the newsletter where Judy is, and again, you can just leave things on her porch, or you can take it to the shelter and call, and they'll come out and get your stuff. So you're fine any way you do it. Did you want to say something else, Teresa?
Yes, it's Trudy Morgan.
Oh, right. Sorry. Right. Thank you. I do know a Judy Morgan, but hey, the Trudy is who you want to contact. Okay, well, thank you all again so very much. And Mary, you want to sing us out?
Thank you. Yeah, this is the song I just finished. In fact, I'm not really sure it's totally finished, but it speaks to Candice's question about what kind of person does the world need right now? And looking in the mirror and who we are. It says my internet connection is unstable. I already lost you once. I hope this hangs in there. Okay, we'll see. Okay. Oh, I should say this week, I want to dedicate this song to Donald Trump.
Okay.
It's only human to feel greed, wanting much more than you could need, stepping on others to succeed. It's only human. Don't you wanna be better than only human? Try to imagine that. Try to be better than only human. I believe, I believe, I believe you can. It's only human to feel hate, judging another by their face, feeling afraid to lose our place. It's only human, but I wanna be better than only human. I try to imagine that I'm gonna be better than only human. I believe, I believe, I believe I can. So what do we do when someone lashes out? Be kind. And what if they step on your blue suede shoes? Never mind. Look for equanimity if you're wanting to be free. If you ever hope to find peace of mind. It's only human to feel anger, overreacting to a danger, finding it hard to trust a stranger. It's only human, but we can be better than only human. Try to imagine that we can be better than only human. I believe, I believe, I believe we can. We can be better than only human. Try to imagine that we can be better than only human. I believe, I believe, I believe we can.
Thank you, Mary. That was so wonderful. And yes, I think that was a perfect song. So if you'd like to hang out for a while, we will go in and have some time to chat and share how everyone's week has been. And in the meantime, just keep looking up, keep looking in the mirror. Have a wonderful week. Namaste.